Hi, Tracy here with BibleJournalingMinistries.com, and today I'm going to show you how to print on tissue paper as an alternative to the paper napkin technique that people are using in their Bibles. I love the paper napkin technique. Unfortunately, I cannot find faith-based napkins where I live. It's very difficult to find them. So what I've done is I've created a series of printables that you can find at BibleJournalingMinistries.com that are faith-based. So you can print these out on tissue paper and do the napkin technique like you've seen here. In this line that I'm going to show you right now, this is our faith-based line, our faith-based napkin line, and you are getting words like God, praise, love, glory, Jesus, He is risen. And this was inspired by a napkin that I couldn't find. Now, it was inspired. This is not exactly the napkin. If you want that napkin and you know which one I'm talking about, you're going to have to go and find that because that was seasonal and I cannot get my hands on it. So I created something that was very similar to it, and I created different watercolor backgrounds to lay across it. Obviously, the original napkin doesn't have crosses and it doesn't have some of these words, so mine are different, but I wanted something that was very similar. So I've got red and purple and orange on this one. I've got a lighter design on this one. This one is more of a grungy brown, green, orange, green, and blues. This one is one of my favorite ones. It has pinks and purples and blues. This is my favorite one. This one has a nice red on the bottom, some green, yellow, and some blues. And then this one, which is a cute watercolor as well. So you get 6 of them, and these are printed on cardstock, but I'm going to show you how to print it on tissue paper here in just a minute. In order to begin printing on tissue paper, you're going to need a piece of paper that goes through your printer. So this is just a piece of scrap paper that I have around my house. You're going to need the Herma repositional dots. This is by EK Success. You can use tape or washi tape, but I have found that the repositional dots really help with not tearing the tissue paper and being able to reuse paper time and time again. You're going to need scissors and you're going to need tissue paper, and this is just the kind that you get anywhere. Like this is from the dollar store. So you get like 25 or 20 of these in a packet for $1, and you can make a lot of printed tissue paper alternatives on this. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I don't do anything. Right when it comes out of the packet, I go ahead and just start cutting because I don't want to waste a lot of time. So I tend to cut, I tend to cut a little bit smaller than the actual scrap piece of paper. And then I'll go ahead and cut this one as well. I might do this one like that. Maybe I'll do this one like this and see if we can get more. That way there's less waste. Then what I'll do is I'll open it up and I'll start lining up the sheets. Now this is not an exact science, so some of the sheets I have are going to be great and some of them not so much. I'm not going for perfection here, I'm just going for decent. Then I have a nice stack that's ready for whenever I'm ready to print out on my paper napkins or paper tissue papers. Paper tissue paper. I just wanted to let you know that you can, if you're trying to figure out how many napkins you can get out of any one sheet, I have found that if you're really good at measuring and you take the sheet out and you do a good job of it, that you can get 3 full sheets and kind of a little half sheet. So you don't have to waste it or throw it away, but you can get anywhere between, if you're not doing it right, you can get 2, but for the most part you can get 3.5 sheets per sheet, full sheet of tissue paper. And I guess it depends also on the type of tissue paper you buy. Some of your tissue papers might be longer or shorter, but with respect to the dollar store brand that I bought, I can get 3 full sheets plus a half sheet. The next thing you want to do, and I'll just create a whole pile of these and have access to them whenever I need it. The next thing you want to do is you want to take your Hermer dots and you're just going to go across the top. And the reason why the Hermer dots are better than tape is because if you're going to use washi tape, you're going to have to tape over the piece of tissue paper, and you're going to lose some of the ink because it'll be transferred onto the tape instead of onto the tissue paper. So this way you maximize the amount of ink that gets on the tissue paper. Now you might ask yourself, do I print on the shiny side or do I print on the dull side? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. It just depends on how you want your final product to come out. So this is printed on the dull side, and it's not as shiny as this one that's printed on the shiny side. So for the most part it works fine. I can barely see the difference, except for this might just be a little bit shinier than this side, so it doesn't matter. And in terms of bleed through, it doesn't matter either. As long as you're gessoing it, your page, then you shouldn't see any bleed through at all. You can see here as well. So there you go. So once you have the dots down, you can decide if you're going to print on the shiny side or if you're going to print on the matte side, which is the dull side. If your tissue paper doesn't have the shiny side, then you just print on the side that you have. And you just lay it down. If you haven't done a good job of making sure it's exact or less than the sides, you might want to trim up the side, or you could try running it through your printer. It just depends. Now for my printer, once it's ready to print, all I have to do is put this face down and put it into the machine with this side that's taped down feeding towards the machine. I don't tape down this edge. I've never had a problem with jamming so far, so I just don't see the need to tape it down here, because the prints that I'm getting are fine with it loose like that. Once the printer starts to take it, it's going to pull the paper in and print on it pretty smooth. So I don't tape both sides. Then what happens is after you're done printing it, because you're using the repositional dots, you're going to be able to just slowly pull it up with not hardly any damage to your tissue paper. You can see I'm pulling it right now, and I'm not having any problems at all pulling it off. Now if you let it stay overnight, you might have a problem pulling it up because these might turn permanent after a while. But then as you can see, these dots are still sticky, so I just keep, if I'm doing a lot of prints, I'll just keep reusing the piece of paper over and over again. And I can just keep, well, not this piece of paper, I just get a new piece of tissue paper and put it over the dots, and then I'll run it through the printer again. So once you're done running it through your printer, you'll have something that looks like this. Now you can see here that I have used this paper multiple times. That way I don't have a lot of waste. And you can also see that I'm getting the print all the way up to the top of the tissue paper. So I'm not seeing any waste. Now this one I've used a few times, this paper, so the tackiness is starting to lose a little bit of its tackiness. So what I would do is just come back and just add a little more of the Hermer dot. And then I can add a new sheet of paper. And now it's going to be ready to go into my printer. So this will just feed into my printer this way. There are some printers that are top loading. In that case, you would just feed it wherever the printer is going to grab. You want this adhesive to be down, because otherwise if you put it in this way and it grabs it, it's going to flip this paper up and you're going to get a printer jam. So make sure that however you have adhered it down, that's the side that's going to be fed into your printer. So top loading is going to be like this. Bottom loading is going to be usually backwards and like this. It just depends on your printer. You'll have to play with it to see how your printer prints. But you can see that I can just keep reusing this paper time and time again. Okay, now if I was going to use washi tape, just so you guys can see the difference, let me see if I can find that short piece of paper. I started my technique playing with washi tape, and man, if I didn't waste enough washi tape to get frustrated at the whole technique. So that's why I started using the repositional dots. So if I was going to use washi tape, just so you can see, I'm going to grab a piece of uglier washi tape. It's cute washi tape, but I don't use this much. You put the washi tape down, and then you either fold the ends or you cut the ends. Okay? And then you feed it through your printer again. So here's where the problem comes into play, is when you're ready to pull it up. So if you're going to pull it up, and you're going to be super careful about it, because the washi tape is really nice and thin and easy to use, you can start pulling it up, but then you have to pull this tissue paper up, and you just have to be really, really careful not to rip it, because you can start to see. I'm trying to be really careful. And that way you can reuse your washi tape if you don't have the repositional tape. Oh no. Just stick that down. And the problem that I have found is that it starts to rip the paper. You can kind of see some of it stuck here to the washi tape. But if all you have is washi tape, then it'll work just fine. Just keep trying to reuse it time and time again. So just, grab another piece of paper, stick the washi tape down, run it through the printer. So washi tape is an alternative. I just have found that sometimes it rips my tissue paper, and also you don't get, whenever you're feeding it through the printer, you're not getting the full page, because it's going to print on the washi tape. And you could say, well, you can always move the washi tape up higher. Sure. You can move the washi tape up higher and fold it over the edge if you want. Like this. And feed it into your machine this way. And then when you're done, you're still going to get some of the printer ink up here, like you see in here. You'll get You'll probably just lose a little bit of that ink, but not much if you do it right at the edge. But then the challenge becomes, how do you, pull it off without doing too much damage? And you can. It's just more challenging. So, all to say, this is how you would use it with the washi tape. But I prefer the repositional dots because, again, I'm coming through here and I'm able just to take this, real quick, and then just go get another piece and put it right back on. Do you see how fast that is? Who has time? But if you have washi tape and that's what you have, then please use that because that's a great alternative. I wouldn't use the Scotch tape because the Scotch tape is going to rip the tissue paper. I've done it before and it's just, you can still use the tissue paper, it's just not as nice. So, what you have when you come out of the printer is something that looks like this. And you can see now that it's really a nice tissue paper, and we'll have some tutorials on how to use this in the future, or it might be part of a class. So make sure that you click on the link that has these items in it below, the description below, and you can find out how you can get a hold of these and additional tutorials around the alternative to paper napkin technique. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, say hi. Alright, have a great day. Bye.